Anyway, as I said, today is the big day of Blake Lively's deposition.
The courtroom drama surrounding Blake Lively has erupted into full-scale chaos, signaling the unraveling of what was once a carefully curated narrative of empowerment and victimhood. With legal filings now revealing that Blake lacks substantial proof to support her misconduct allegations.
Well, she's saying that it was because of the smear campaign that she did to herself.
The image she projected publicly is collapsing. Statements she once made confidently in interviews are now being used against her, with contradiction after contradiction leaving her credibility in tatters. Even her staunchest supporters are stepping back, watching this high-profile meltdown play out like an ill-fated reality show. Blake initially cast herself as a victim of workplace harassment, evoking sympathy with emotional appeals and leveraging media narratives. But as the case moved into the discovery phase, cracks began to show.
She also said that she never wanted to go public with this information, meaning that she's contradicting herself when she said that Baldoni was a danger.
The documents submitted revealed a glaring lack of hard evidence. No texts, no emails, no corroborating witnesses, just vague claims, now looking increasingly theatrical. Her deposition date is finally approaching, and for the first time, she might be forced to answer questions without the shield of filters and PR scripting. However, given her history of avoiding professional commitments, from ghosting movie sets to blaming sick kids and even the weather, whether she even appears is uncertain. Then there's her husband, Ryan Reynolds, who has complicated matters even further.
She never believed that. And what she's saying now, that she got all this support from other victims when her experience wasn't that bad and she never wanted to go public with it.
In a baffling display at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere in July 2024, Ryan took to the red carpet and publicly called director Justin Baldoni a predator, an accusation that stunned industry insiders. His justification? Freedom of speech. But what he saw as bravery was viewed by many as recklessness. The fallout was immediate and severe. Baldoni's management company, WME, severed ties with him shortly afterward, and leaked audio from former CEO Ari Emanuel exposed the behind-the-scenes favoritism given to Blake and Ryan.
And that put Ryan Reynolds in big trouble with his statement.
In Emanuel's own words, he trusted the power couple over Baldoni, despite Blake's conflicting testimonies. This favoritism is now being scrutinized as an example of Hollywood's dangerous echo chamber of influence. Blake's narrative crumbled further when she admitted the incident wasn't even that serious. Her casual walkback of her own allegations calls into question the entire legal premise. One moment she described emotional trauma and career sabotage. The next, she downplayed the experience as minor. This inconsistency is now being cited by legal experts as a potential pathway to proving actual malice, a crucial component for Baldoni's defamation counterclaims. And then there's the issue of empowerment. At the 2018 Met Gala, Blake Lively made headlines for declaring no man could define her.
Because remember, Ryan Reynolds came out and called Justin Baldoni a predator?
Yet now she's leaned heavily on her husband to wage this legal war. Her entire case, far from being a stand for justice, appears increasingly like an opportunistic attempt to cling to relevance and deflect from career failures. Her legal strategy, if it can be called that, has turned into a subpoena circus. She has issued legal demands to everyone from Wayfair executives to Baldoni's personal health coach. The justification? That suggestions of probiotics were somehow part of a wider conspiracy to undermine her health and image. If it wasn't unfolding in court documents, it would sound like a comedy sketch.
She said that the smear campaign was much worse than the actually alleged SH.
Blake's legal team also attempted to move the case from California to New York, only for Judge Lemon to shut down the request, labeling it for what it was, an attempt to venue shop for a more favorable outcome. The judge's irritation was palpable, signaling that even the courts are running out of patience for this Hollywood drama dressed up as a legal proceeding. Wayfair, for its part, has responded, not with media spin, but with action. They're producing a comprehensive batch of emails, texts, and internal documents set to be delivered by July 1st, 2025.
And he said that he could say that because it was freedom of speech and he believed him to be a predator.
The company's stance is firm. These documents will show Blake fabricated her story to deflect from personal and professional missteps. While Blake floats conspiracy theories about coordinated Instagram posts and sabotage campaigns, Wayfair is focusing on facts. As the case unfolds, more contradictions in Blake's narrative come to light. Her claims morph depending on the platform, downplayed in court, dramatized in interviews. Legal experts say this is a classic sign of a weak case, bolstered by emotion rather than evidence. And in a system that runs on proof, not Instagram likes, that spells trouble. On the other side, Justin Baldoni has stayed mostly silent.
That Ari Emanuel said that he always trusted Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and he was basically saying that F Justin Baldoni.
His legal team missed a recent deadline to file an amended complaint, leading to speculation about his strategy. But sources close to the case say this may be a calculated pause, rather than a retreat. His previous claims were dismissed without prejudice, meaning they could resurface if the facts align. With each new misstep by Blake and Ryan, his position strengthens. He may be letting them implode in the court of public opinion before striking again legally.
Is that Blake Lively herself said that this wasn't really bad. And that put Ryan Reynolds in big trouble with his statement, something that I didn't think about here.
Behind him, support grows. Friends, colleagues, and industry peers are rallying around Baldoni, highlighting the character assassination he has endured. His restraint has become a counterpoint to Blake's media frenzy. Where she stages public sob stories, he maintains quiet dignity. And then came the media reckoning. Blake's appearance on Megan Twohey's New York Times podcast was expected to be a softball interview, an opportunity to reset the narrative.
Blake Lively said that she had experienced much worse in Hollywood than what actually happened on this set.
Instead, Twohey pressed on the inconsistencies in Blake's story, pointing out that the supposed harassment might have been nothing more than creative disagreements on set. The podcast's impact was seismic. It punctured the illusion and reminded listeners that this wasn't a clear-cut case of abuse. It was a blurred mess of egos and miscommunication, now weaponized for public sympathy. Blake's continued doubling down only deepens the crisis. She's expanded her subpoenas to low-level Wayfair employees and unrelated third parties, creating a legal spectacle that feels more like a media distraction than a search for justice.
But this proves that Ryan Reynolds acted with reckless disregard of the truth.
The burden on these individuals, people who simply wanted to do their jobs without becoming pawns in a celebrity feud, is immense. Meanwhile, Blake's narrative becomes harder to follow with each passing week. It's not just the legal world watching. Social media, once her playground, is now turning on her. Fans who once admired her red carpet poise are now questioning her intentions. The once beloved actress is now synonymous with contradiction, hypocrisy, and overreach. Her fall from grace is playing out in real time, and no amount of PR wizardry seems able to halt it. And while Blake clings to a narrative that fewer and fewer believe, Wayfair is preparing to deliver what might be the final blow.
He intentionally exaggerated Blake Lively's experience because, of course, he knew that Justin Baldoni wasn't a predator. And with this statement here in this interview, Justin Baldoni could actually prove that.
Their document production, which insiders suggest includes damaging evidence against her, could dismantle her entire case. If that happens, not only will her legal claims implode, but her career might never recover. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds thought they could control the narrative, sway public opinion, and bulldoze through legal opposition with charisma and fame. Instead, they've exposed themselves, turning a private workplace dispute into a public unraveling of epic proportions. With their credibility crumbling, the question isn't whether the truth will come out, it's how much more damage they'll do before it does.
We don't know if she's going to show up yet because she has a history of having great excuses for not showing up to things.
As more evidence comes to light, the court of public opinion and the actual court seem to be aligning. The once praised Hollywood power couple is now struggling to maintain the facade that once seemed unshakable. Their legal missteps and media blunders are quickly eroding whatever goodwill remained. Blake's continuous contradictions and Ryan's inflammatory remarks have invited scrutiny not just from critics, but also from their own fans. The document dump expected from Wayfair isn't just about disproving claims, it's about restoring reputations and resetting the narrative. For Baldoni, it could mean redemption.
Baldoni was a danger and he needs to be exposed. She never believed that. And what she's saying now, that she got all this support from other victims when her experience wasn't that bad and she never wanted to go public with it.
For Blake and Ryan, it could mean the final unraveling of a once envied brand built on charm and curated vulnerability. The drama has shifted from celebrity gossip to a cautionary tale about hubris, manipulation, and the inevitable consequences of playing too fast and loose with the truth. Hollywood might forgive a scandal, but it rarely forgets one that drags on this long with this much evidence of self-sabotage. And with more legal milestones looming, it's clear this saga is far from over. But one thing is certain. Blake Lively's legal crusade has lost its footing. The more she fights to reclaim control, the more transparent her tactics become. And transparency, in this case, may be her greatest undoing.